Many people don't realize what all goes on behind the scenes of most horse farms. One of the most important people on a horse farm is the farrier. They are responsible for maintaining the hooves of the horses, which is one of the keys to a healthy and happy animal.
Horses that live in the wild do not require their hooves to be trimmed because they're constantly on the move over a variety of surfaces that naturally wears down their hooves. For our domesticated horses, however, if their feet are not properly taken care of, a lot of different issues can arise.
The anatomy of the hoof is very complex, which is why caring for them properly is so important. The hoof encases several extremely important bones, and when they aren't trimmed regularly or correctly, this puts stress on not only these bones, but the joints in the rest of the leg as well. At Delaware Valley University, there are 52 horses at the Equestrian Center that participate in a variety of disciplines. Josh Hogue is the farrier for all of these horses. To get to where he is now, Josh has gone through a lot of training.
Farrier school, there's a few throughout the country that are very much worth going to, but the best thing I can recommend is an apprenticeship. That's what I did. I did about a 3-year apprenticeship with a gentleman, and then I did another year with another gentleman just to kind of broaden my horizons. But I felt like I wanted to get certified also, so I went to Oklahoma Horseshoeing School and got certified through that school. Now, a big thing is continuing education in our industry too. I just applied to Doug Butler's school out in Nebraska, and I'll be attending that school as just a continuing education thing.
Now, after all of his training, Josh is able to run his own business by trimming and shoeing horses.
On his truck, you'll find many tools that are all essential to his job.
So we're just going to go through some of the basic hand tools that farriers use. Beginning off with the nippers. Nippers are used to actually cut the hoof down and remove the horny structure from the outside of the foot. You have a rasp, which is used to file the foot down. You can balance it and take away all those high marks with this. Just think of it like a giant nail file. From there, we're going to go to our pull-offs and our nail pullers. So these are nail pullers. They're designed to get into the fuller of the shoe, grab the nail head, and pop the nail out of the foot. Pull-offs are used to where if that nail doesn't come all the way up, you can grab it with these, or you can get between the shoe and the foot and pry the shoe off, and that's how you can remove that shoe. Next, we have our 2 types of clinchers. We have low nail clinchers and my Lopez clinchers. It's just how you roll the nail. Once the nail comes through the hoof wall, we use these to clinch that nail and roll it over so it holds the shoe onto the foot. These are just nail cutters to cut off excess nail. I have my clinch block, which is used to seat the head of the nail into the shoe. This is a clinch cutter for cutting that clinch off before you pull it, and a gouger. The gouger leaves a little groove underneath the nail to let that nail head lay nice and flat into the foot.
Most horses are able to be barefoot, but often shoes are worn to prevent against excessive wear and tear on the feet. Montana is one of the Delval horses used for carriage driving, and she's also one of the only horses here that wears shoes. Before Josh begins trimming Montana, he first has to take her shoes off. He then begins to clean off the surface of the hoof to get a better idea of how much trimming he'll have to do.
Coming with the nippers, we're going to remove the bulk of the hoof wall with these and then come back in with the rasp and clean it up. So the horse cannot feel this at all. This is like cutting your fingernail, you don't feel it.
Next, he takes a look at the outside of the hoof and begins trimming there until the foot is level and even again. Now Josh is ready to fit Montana for new shoes. He chooses a steel shoe that's about Montana's size and then heats it to a high enough temperature that he's able to mold it to her exact hoof shape. He then tests the fit of the hot shoe on her hoof to check for any uneven areas that he might have missed. Happy with the fit, he then cools the shoe in a bucket of water and then begins shaping the edges of the shoe so that they aren't as sharp and will travel over ground more smoothly. Finally, he's ready to put the shoe on and nail it into the hoof wall.
Wringing the nail off so that way the sharp edge isn't sticking out and won't hit me. Now she can't feel this. It does not hurt. Then we'll use the block. Set that on the nail head. Give it a tap and that sets the nail into the floor. This is that gouger. You're going to see right underneath the nail, you just, and it makes a little gouge. That nail is going to lay right in there once I clinch it. Just cleaning up that nail, getting my depth right, how long I want my clinch. Just rolls over. Clean it up, make it look nice.
After he's done cleaning up the nails so that they aren't sticking out, the final step is to use a sealant to fill in any spaces left by the nails. Montana's feet are finally done, and she's ready to go back to work. Besides typical farrier work, there are many types of corrective trimming and therapeutic shoeing that all aim to help with issues that the horse may have, such as conformational faults, hoof cracks, laminitis, or other various lamenesses. A good way to evaluate a horse for lameness is to watch it trot on the lunge line. Once it's determined what area is affecting the horse, you can decide if it can be corrected with trimming or shoeing. Another way of finding the exact spot of lameness is to use hoof testers. You can either feel for when the horse tries to pull his hoof away, or you can watch their shoulder for a slight twitch whenever they feel discomfort. This is Molly, a recently rescued draft mule. Prior to being rescued, her feet have been severely neglected. She has a bad case of canker, which is an anaerobic infection in the outermost tissues of the hoof. Josh has been working with Molly for several months now, and the canker isn't something they can cure in a few days. He can only take so much of the hoof away every few weeks without her feeling too much pain. Each visit with Molly, Josh works on cleaning out the infected area to allow air to circulate through it. Rather than digging out the entire area and causing her discomfort, Josh uses a method of burning the area to kill the bacteria. Knowing how to handle cases like Molly is a big part of a farrier's job. It's not always just simple trimming. In order to have a sound, happy, and healthy horse, their feet must be taken care of properly. For horse owners, this can be fairly costly.
You have guys charging $30 for trims all the way up to $75 for a trim, depending on if it's a performance horse, what your horse is doing, if it's any kind of therapeutic trimming, if they're trying to balance the foot differently, whatever. Same thing with shoes. We call them cold shoers. They don't use a forge They just use an anvil and a hammer. They don't heat the shoes up. They don't burn them on. Those guys, you could probably get a pair of shoes anywhere from $50 up to $80 to $90. Once you get into hot shoeing, which is what I do with the forge and the hot steel and all that, you're looking anywhere from $90 all the way up to, I know a guy who charges $225 for front shoes.
According to American Farriers Journal, the average gross income for full-time farriers in 2018 was around $102,000. Although full-time farriers are able to make a decent living, the job does come with its drawbacks. Every day they risk getting kicked or bitten. After all, not all horses behave perfectly when getting their feet done. After time, farriers also sustain wear on their backs, knees, hips, elbows, and wrists. Horse farms wouldn't be able to function without farriers. These people are the reason horses are able to show, race, and live comfortably.